Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the Ural Mountain Mystery Part 4. Today we're going to be talking about the Dyatlov Pass incident. After the rescue team would report all their findings, they would report everything they had documented to the lead researcher and investigator, Lev Ivanev. And after receiving all the information that the search team had acquired, he would write all of the findings in a 4-page report, and in his words would describe that the hikers had encountered an overwhelming force they were not able to overcome. This unfortunately would create more questions than answers, and over the course of time, in the past 60 years, many people and theorists will come up with their own idea of what had actually happened to the team on the Dyatlov Pass. The first theory that people would come up with is that the hikers had been overcome and mauled by a mythical cryptid creature known as the Yeti or Bigfoot. The reason behind this, as several hikers in the group had wrote in their diaries about a man on the mountain, specifically talking about the Yeti myth that had been going around in that particular area for many, many years. Another reason that they would come to this theory is that out of everything that they would find out of the equipment and cameras, they would unearth this very photo taken by one of the hikers, and would speculate that this photo is the only photograph ever taken of the mythical Yeti. But this theory was quickly debunked, as there was no other proof showing that anything other than the rescue team and the hikers were in that particular part of the mountain, and for the sole fact that this couldn't really be a mythical creature, but could very well be one of the hikers standing very awkwardly as the photo was taken. So the Yeti was pretty much counted out. Another thing that many theorists would come to speculate is that the hikers had encountered a UFO, and even though this may explain why some of the groups would have radiation, not much was given that a UFO had encountered the hikers. And just like with the Yeti theory, the reason being is out of all the many photos I was taking, there were other photos taken in the camera, and it would seem that the hikers would capture very strange lights in the sky that cannot be explained. But other than the radiation and the strange lights in the sky, this is about as far as we know about an actual UFO landing around the hikers. So again, this theory was also debunked. Another theory that many speculators would come up with is that the hikers would encounter the indigenous tribe, the Mansi, that is actually known to live around the mountain on which the hikers had met their unfortunate fate. But this theory would also be debunked. For starters, the Mansi tribe was not very known for being confrontational or a threat, and the hikers were also known to be very cordial to the Mansi tribe that they had encountered. If you also remember, the Mansi were the very ones that would name that particular mountain the Mountain of the Dead. So it doesn't make any sense why the Mansi would actually go on a mountain that they would give such a scary name to. Another clear giveaway, as there were no signs that the Mansi were anywhere near the hikers when they met their unfortunate fate. And being that most of the hikers had left all of their equipment by their tent on the night of the storm, it doesn't make any sense why the Mansi would attack and kill everyone in the group and not take anything from the equipment. And another thing that proved that the Mansi were not involved, as all of the footprints and everything that the team had found as evidence would only show that it only belonged to the hikers in general. And even though out of the 9 hikers would have various bruisings and trauma that could only be given by being in a confrontation with someone, it would not be able to explain why they would only remove one tongue from one person and eyes from multiple others. And it also doesn't explain the amounts of radiation found on various other hikers as well. So just like the Yeti and the UFO, the Manzi also was quickly debunked. Another theory would be that even though there would be a prison very nearby the mountain that the hikers were on, that some inmates would actually escape from prison and encounter the hikers and take them all out. But once again, this theory was also quickly debunked as it started. For starters, the time that the hikers met their unfortunate fate would be during the time that it was in the middle of winter in a Russian mountain. So the fact that inmates escaping from prison in the middle of winter is pretty unlikely. And even though various members in the group would have bodily injuries, you have to keep in mind some of those injuries were so severe that it was documented that it would seem they were hit with such force it would be like getting hit by a motor vehicle. And it's pretty uncommon for another human being to hit another human being with that type of force. The other thing that would make it debunked is the 2 women that were in the group were found completely clothed, and there was no sign of sexual assault on either one of the females. So as before, this theory was also debunked. The next theory is that the hikers would encounter an animal attack. Now, this may seem more plausible than any of the other prior ideas that people would come up with, but unfortunately there was not a lot of evidence proving that an animal had actually attacked the group. Of course, it was proven that many people in the group would have severe traumas to the chest and other parts of their body, even having one as far as having their neck completely crushed. And if the hikers had encountered a bear, this would make a lot of sense. And yes, there were various people in the group that had items of their flesh removed, and there was proof that some of the hikers would even try to scale up a tree without having any clothes or equipment on. And keep in mind, the hikers tore off running in the middle of the night, not even putting hardly any of their clothes on, leaving all of their equipment behind, going as far to say that they would even cut a hole in their own tent to get away from whatever was coming near them. But aside from the physical trauma and aside from various items of their parts of their bodies missing, this would be the only thing that would leave evidence that they were attacked by animals. And why would a bear or a wolf tear off a person's tongue or eyes and not eat the rest? There were no signs that the group had encountered any kind of animal, as they didn't have bite marks or scratches on them, even though Igor Dyatlov would have bruising on his fist as if he had gotten into a very severe fist fight. So quickly, the animal attack theory was quickly debunked as the others. And unfortunately, the other theories that would come up would not be any better than the ones I just discussed.